microbiome's been studied for I would say, decades related to inflammatory bowel disease. And it's been known for a long time in mouse models of inflammatory bowel disease that bacteria matter, because in most mouse models of inflammatory bowel disease, if you don't have microbes, they don't get disease. And it doesn't, for the largest number of models, and there are over 50, no bacteria, no inflammatory bowel disease. In humans, deep microbial genotyping has clearly shown that if you compare IBD patients, and that's ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, compared to healthy controls, that there's altered diversity. So there's reduced diversity, and this is true for both UC and for Crohn's. It's still not clear is the change in diversity a cause or an effect of the underlying inflammation that people have? Although some studies, and a very large study that was done by the RISK cohort, which is funded by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, showed, and Dirk Evers was a senior author in Cell Host and Microbe, showed that even at the time of diagnosis, at the initial diagnosis, the microbiota is already changed. Really, again, asking the question, is it possible that the altered diversity actually is a driver of the inflammation, as opposed to the inflammation as a driver of the altered diversity? There have been a number of I would say, basic and translational studies that are trying to manipulate the microbiota for therapeutic effects. So people have isolated groups of bacteria and really heralded by work in Japan, but where groups of bacteria can induce regulatory T cells, and people and there's companies trying to actually develop these bacteria as a therapeutic, where one might imagine you can give these healthy bacteria that induce regulatory cells, but give them to patients. This is all, although there have been lots of mouse work, there's increasing numbers of studies that are planned for humans. The human studies on microbiota have really, I would say, globally have been looked in two different ways. One is fecal transplant. So fecal microbial transplant works very effectively for Clostridium difficile infections. And there's been question, does it work for inflammatory bowel disease? The jury's not out on it. It's probably not going to be the magic bullet, because fecal microbial transplant is giving a large diversity of organisms as opposed to only the quote-unquote good ones versus the bad ones. But there have been some studies, and in particular one out of Australia published in The Lancet last year, that really showed effectiveness of actually 5 days a week for, I can't remember how many weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, that was effective for ulcerative colitis. But studies on fecal transplant are still going on, and I would say the jury's not out, is still out, I should say.